and welcome to Scott's Garage. Recently I was watching some videos about joints for woodworking, joining two pieces of wood together. And a lot of times they were saying, just a regular butt joint, in my experience, is when you glue it together, it's actually stronger than the wood itself when you glue them properly together. And then for extra strength, a lot of times I put in some biscuits. You see me assemble a lot of things with biscuits. And there was one guy on the YouTube that was saying that biscuits are really just for aligning parts when you're assembling it, which that's true. It really does help with aligning everything together. And when you clamp it, it doesn't slip around as much, which is true. But I think they actually add strength as well, which this guy said they really didn't. So I was like, and then compare it somehow to just a glue only, a biscuit, and somehow test that to see which is stronger or if they're all about the same. So I thought that was a pretty interesting question that I want answered, and I intend to answer it in this video. So the plan that I have is I'm going to I have a piece of oak here that's kind of finished on one side. It's a scrap piece from another project. Two of them would glue up to be just a regular butt joint with glue only. Another one would have biscuits. And so I think I'm going to glue them all up into kind of an L. And then there's a couple things that I want to test. I want to test like pull apart strength. And I also want to test like breaking strength, because let's say you make a drawer and you glue up the drawer and you're cramming it back and forth, and there's a lot of force to kind of break the drawer this way. Then if you pull it or slam it, there's a lot of force to pull that way. So what I think I'm going to do is glue it up and then clamp it here and have it hanging. And then I'll probably put a hole in the center with something. And then what that will do is if I put a hole in the center, it will pull down, and it will also be like a cranking force. So a torque on that joint. So I want a torque and a pull down. And then something here where I could add different weights, like a barbell set. And I could add, 5 pounds at a time or 2 pounds at a time or something, until finally each joint broke. And we'll see at what point they do. And I'll let you see the results. So let's get started. So I have no idea how to actually test this, but whether I'm going to do it right or not, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So first thing I did is just kind of mark an X, because we're going to hang it like that, and then we're going to put a weight right there on each one and see how much it takes. So I put an X on all of these, and we need to drill a hole right there. And that's going to be our hanging hole. So the idea is to have this go through here, washer, nut, S. Now let's go hang it over here on the workbench. So then I can probably just mount it here to these couple of pre-drilled holes that I have in the bench. And I think this bench should be able to hold up just about whatever weight we can put on there. I think these screws will have no problem holding it as well. And then we just hold on the bucket and let's go get some weights. Let's start out with this weight set here. I have more dumbbell kind of things, but I don't know how much total weight. 20. Hey, there we go. All right, so that'll keep that right in the middle. Okay, so this is first test of different kind of joints in woodworking. This is glue only, and we'll start with 2.5 pounds. Let's get a close-up of that joint. Looks to be pretty solid, and I've totally lost track of how much weight that is 16 plus 4 is 20, and the handle is 5 pounds. So I think these are 2.5 pounds each. Okay, so we put you get the picture, you saw what happened. This is the amount of weight that it failed under. And if we look here, we see that the actual glue failed and not the wood. I've never seen that before, where the glue will fail before the wood. And that's pretty interesting result. And so let's add up the weight and see how much we got. All right, 71 pounds for the glue only. Okay, so next one is the one with biscuits. Okay, we have the same setup. Everything looks the same to me. Let's start with the biscuits. All right, so this is the joint with biscuits, 2 biscuits, number 10 biscuits in the joint there. And let's try to remember to load it the same way. So I think we can probably put the 10 pounds right here. I don't think we need to load these one at a time. And then these kind of went around the edge. This is the point where the other one failed. So let's just give that a few minutes. Can we see if it's if the joint is splitting a little bit. Let me see. I think I see it, like the joint's like splitting apart a little bit. I think this thing is ready to go. Oh, look how it's bending. There it goes. Oh, that was cool. That was cool. So there, that joint was pretty good, but it took exactly the same weight, and I kind of let it sit there for about the same amount of time. Okay, so for this test, I would say that it performed about exactly the same as just a butt joint without any biscuits. So far, the guy, what's his name, Stumpy Nubs, he was saying that this doesn't add any strength, it just helps with assembly. I wanted to say he was full of shit, but I think he's right. Look, it doesn't look like there's any glue on here. I think if I would have glued this in, that kind of tells me that I think I need to add more glue in my slots. Or this one. Huh. Pretty interesting, but I could see it like start to fail, where it seemed like the other one, it just stood there and didn't move, and then boom, it just broke. Where this one, you could kind of see it failing. You know what I'd like to try? I would actually like to try if I glued it and screwed it. So let's just talk about that. What if I took this one, I don't know, glued it again, and then put some screws in there? What do you think about that? I think that would be fun to try. Let's do that. Because this is a lot of times how I would make a joint, especially if I wanted something to be really strong. What I would do is probably Biscuit, just to help me align, and then I would put some screws in there just to kind of seal the deal, you know? And we'll put that aside to dry, and we'll test that next. So this is not glue. Let's see, glue plus screws. I think this is going to be the ultimate mama jama. Then the next thing is this is the one that had the biscuit on it, and or actually the two biscuits that broke. A couple of things I don't like about this is, one, it doesn't look like I got a lot of glue on the biscuit, and using the smaller biscuits, two of them side by side, it kind of broke out the end here, went all the way across. I think what I'd like to do is put a bigger, this is a number 10 biscuit, I'd like to put a number 20, just one of them right in the center, and kind of redo this test and put a lot more glue. Maybe glue up the biscuit itself before I put it in the joint, and maybe that will make for a stronger joint. So I have my biscuit cutter set to 20, number 20 biscuit, and right in the center. The last time I actually didn't have the groove in the center, a little bit off center there, which I didn't like, but we'll get right in the center this time.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, so this one is dry. You can take off the clamps here. And this is one with not biscuits, but one number 20 biscuit. And let's put some longer screws in here, so this will be a little bit stronger as well. Okay, new setup. New setup. Boy, these things are really light. These don't really add much weight. Oh, it's here. Wow, look at that. That's pretty impressive. That is pretty darn impressive. Okay, let's see how much weight that is. Well, that's pretty good for one. Look at how the biscuit, it just broke out perfectly around that. That's amazing. Still, I could glue that back together. It still fits nice and tight. I could glue that back together and that would work great. Push it, and then it will go to 0. 91 pounds. Wow. 87.8. So that's 87.8 plus 97 points together. You glued it. It was 71 pounds. If you add a biscuit, it's 179 pounds.
Biscuit?
More than twice the weight.
That's more than you.
Okay, next up is glue and 2 screws. There's 2 screws going up underneath there. This thing is going to take a lot to break. Okay. So let's load her back up and see. That's about the same weight as previously on the previous go. Let's see how it's doing from a, oh, wait. It's not the same weight. I forgot this guy. Let's see how this is doing. Oh! Well, I don't have to put that on there. So the glue joint broke, but the screws are still holding. Well, now what do I do? So that tells me that one big number 20 biscuit is as strong pretty much as 2 screws. That's probably enough. I'm going to say that's a fail. Damn, that's pretty tough. Okay. So I'm going to say that for all intents and purposes failed with all that weight on there. So let's weigh it. Okay, so we weighed it all, and I had to do it in several steps because it's just too much weight to do all in one. And it was 80 pounds, 60.8, 45, and 72.4, whatever that is. Let me add that up. That's the last one with the glue and the screws, 258.2 pounds. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Glue with the number 20 biscuit, 179 pounds. Glue alone and glue with the two number 10 biscuits was around 71 pounds. But I don't really think the number 10 biscuits, didn't seem like I got enough glue on there, and it was not really set right, so I might just do away with that one. Okay, so let's recap. The big winner of the day is glue with screws. It failed at 258 pounds, but actually it hasn't fully failed yet. But the joint actually broke about at the same time as the glue with the biscuit in it, the number 20 biscuit. So that those two were around 179 pounds. 180 pounds is where this one broke. I think the glue with the screws, that kind of failed about at 180 pounds. And then if we look at just a butt joint, that failed around, what is that, 71 pounds? Yeah, that was 71 pounds, as well as the biscuit that I kind of didn't do right. So I think my conclusion is that a biscuit added to a joint and done wrong is about as strong as just a butt joint. It doesn't really help, although it does help with assembly. But if you do a biscuit correctly, it can be more than double, from 71 pounds up to 180 pounds. So this is more than double the strength of just a butt joint by itself, and about the same as if you glued and screwed it. So watching that video from Stumpy Nubs, I'm going to kind of call him out a little bit, because he was the one that said biscuits don't really add any strength. All they do is just help you with aligning when you're assembling, which is true. It helps align when you're assembling. But I think I proved that if you do a biscuit correctly, it can add a lot of strength to a joint. If you do it incorrectly, it really doesn't do much more than just if you had not bothered and just put a butt joint there. So anyway, I think that was pretty interesting. I think I learned a lot. The reason that I started on this whole process was because I was curious about it. I thought that the biscuits could add strength in a joint, and I think Stumpy Nubs was wrong. So I wonder if he's going to counter with maybe his own tests or some comment. That'd be interesting. But I think that does it for this episode of Scott's Garage. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.